episode 2 of Chantry's Pantry. Today we made chicken linguine with a butter garlic sauce. So stick tuned and you'll see how we made it. Alright, so I've got my cast iron skillet nice and hot. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in. You know the drill, roll it around, get it on all the surfaces. Remember, you want that moving like water in the bottom of that pan. Alright, so we're going to grab our chicken breasts, bring them over here. Now these are 2 chicken breasts that I've butterflied, the big one, just cut it straight in half. And so all I have on these is some pepper. I don't like to salt raw chicken because it makes it go tough and rubbery. So all I'm going to do is take these and put them pepper side down in my hot cast iron skillet. Then we're going to lightly pepper the other side so that we have pepper on both sides. Alright, so what I like to look for when I'm cooking chicken is you can see the edges start to turn that white color. And that's when I know when they're ready to flip. And that's how you get that nice golden color on them. And as always, if your pan looks a little dry, go ahead and add just a touch more oil. Roll it around and let them cook. I've taken the chicken out of the pan and let this sit and cool down until I can almost touch my hand to the bottom. You still want a little bit of heat, but if you let it sit on the element, you're going to burn all this fond, and that's what we're trying to keep because that's going to make our sauce nice and flavorful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of butter and drop it in the bottom of there, and I'm going to cook some garlic. And you don't really measure your butter, just a couple little pads. And the garlic is all on you. I like a fairly garlicky sauce, so I'm going to do about that much. And then just as soon as that starts to brown, we're going to take a little bit of wine and put in there. And we're just going to let that reduce down to alsac, or alsec. And what that means is until almost all the liquid is gone. You want it to stick to the back of your spoon. Alright, so I've got that wine all nice and reduced. Now I'm going to add just a capful of lemon juice. And then I'm going to shut the heat off. And then I'm going to take some heavy whipping cream. And slowly whisk this in. Alright, and then to that, we're going to add more butter. Yes, it's a lot of butter. But this is a garlic butter sauce, so it's expected that there's a lot of butter in it. And you want to make sure you have the heat off on this, otherwise you can break your sauce, and you don't want to do that. And the way I like to do this is I'll just smash the butter into my whisk and then just continue moving that. And then once you get down to the last little bit, you can just move or stir it around with the whisk and it'll melt just fine. this chicken just into some strips while that sauce kind of just sits. It won't hurt it to just sit for a second. And it's not going to hurt this chicken if it's not quite all the way done, because we're going to put all of this back in the pan and cover it with some tin foil or a lid for a few minutes to let it all come back together. Chicken going in. And we're just going to set this out of the way. I'll clean it later. Stir this around. And at this point, it's up to you. Do you want your sauce very liquidy? Do you want it kind of sticky in a coating? I'm thinking I want more of a sauce, so I'm going to add a little bit more of this cream. And what we're going to do now is, now that I've got this the consistency I want, I'm going to turn that heat back on to a medium-low, and we're going to slowly start adding in some Italian cheese. You can use Parmesan, you can use Asiago, you can use Romano, whatever you want. This is a triple blend because I like all three. So we're just going to slowly add that and balancing with the cream to keep it the consistency that we want. A little bit more cream there in the center, because that's where most of the heat's going to be coming through on these cast iron. And on my last video I said you don't get hot spots with the cast iron, but on these electric elements, the center does kind of get more hot than the rest. So and then we're just going to take a little bit of this cheese and slowly add that. You want to make sure you're constantly moving that whisk when you're adding the cheese, otherwise you can get clumps. You just want to beat it until that cheese melts and you don't see anything left of it. And if you don't like cheese, you can do this without the cheese, and it would be a really nice cream garlic sauce. But where we've decided we want a kind of cheesy garlic sauce, we're going to add the cheese. So, most of my recipes come from experimenting or adaptations of things I've seen online. I did get the base sauce recipe of this from a good friend of mine. He's a member of my beard club. He also uses the same brand of beard product I do, which is Badass Beard Care, as you can see on my shirt and my hat. It's a great group of guys. I've talked to the owner personally. It's based out of California, and if you've got any sort of facial hair, I highly suggest checking them out. I'm wearing the red shirt today because it's Red Friday, and red stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. We wear our red shirts every Friday. So if you've got a red shirt, even if it doesn't say red, throw it on today and help support those troops overseas. Alright, so I'm just still adding some more cream and cheese slowly, and it was starting to get a little thick, so I added a little bit more cream. We're going to throw some more cheese in there. And if you're doing the cheese sauce, you want it to basically, we all know from when we were kids and our mom would make mac and cheese, and you pick the spoon up out of the bowl and the cheese just strings back to the pot. That's what we're looking for in this. This is a super cheesy recipe, and so that's what we're looking for, is that stringy goodness. Because I like to think of it as an adult take on a childhood classic. So that's what we're going for, is that nice, ooey, gooey, stringy, cheesy mess. And this is just going to keep adding volume and thickness as we add this cheese. So that's what the cream's for, is to thin it down if it starts getting too thick. So as you can see, we're starting to get those nice strings. We're starting, but I'm thinking we could go a little bit more. So let's add just a little bit more cheese in there. And like I said before, you want to do this on a medium-low heat. You don't want a whole lot of heat coming into this, because you could separate your sauce if it's too hot. And that's going to be the worst thing ever on a cream-based sauce, especially with all the butter we have in here. If you get this too hot, that butter's going to separate, and then you're going to have 3 different layers of oil in there, and that's just not going to be good. So we're starting to get that nice stringy consistency that we're looking for. I'm going to save the little bit of cheese I have left over to put on top. And what I'm going to run and grab now is my pasta that I have sitting over on the counter. So just hang tight and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got my pasta here, and I'm just going to bring it in a little bit at a time, or as much as a little bit as it will let me. It's sticky, which is, you know, the sign of a good pasta. I did put a little bit of olive oil in the pan to try and keep it from sticking, but I guess I needed it a little bit more. So, and then we're just going to stir this around in this sauce. And it's going to soak up that sauce, get coated in it real nice. Almost need a bigger pan, but we'll make it work. And if you wanted to, instead of bringing your pasta to your sauce, you could take your sauce to your pasta. If you have a big stock pot like I do, probably would have been a better idea, but, you know, learn from my mistakes. So, and with that, I'm thinking we are going to be done. So I'm going to continue mixing this up and adding the rest of the pasta in. And then we're going to sit down and enjoy, and I hope you do the same.
Alright, so Chantry's made him eat some of his food, and I'm going to see how it tastes. So let's dig in, shall we? This is good. I like it a lot, actually. Alright, so some of the things that you could add might be capers. I think that a little bit of green would go really good in that. Like, personally, broccoli is a favorite of mine, but you could also do something more subtle, like fresh parsley or something similar to that.
You could do green onions as well.
That would also work really well. So, thanks for joining us.